Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this video about Algorand, we are going to check out the live chart and see what is happening in the short term. But before that, we are going to talk about a very important, exciting real-world blockchain adoption example. And first things first, you need to know what is WTR token. So you see, WTR stands for water credit, and it's basically a token built on the Algorand blockchain. Each WTR token is generated for every cubic meter of wastewater that gets treated and reused. And in a sense, it's kind of like a carbon credit, but this time it's actually for water. So if you're a company that consumes a lot of water, you can actually purchase WTR tokens to offset your water usage, making your business more sustainable and compliant with environmental standards. This is kind of the key. And since it's all on blockchain, it's actually transparent, traceable, and absolutely measurable, which completely aligns with global ESG goals and the United Nations Sustainable Development Agenda. This isn't just another utility token. This is absolutely impact focused and tied to the real world ecological efforts. So now that we understood what WTR token actually is, let's talk about Gruppo CAP. You see, they are a public utility company in northern Italy, and they are not just any company. No, they are responsible for providing water and also wastewater services to over 2.5 million residents in Italy. Think of it as the Italian version of regional water company, but this is actually owned by the government. They manage infrastructure, public water networks, and sanitation systems. So basically, I'm trying to tell you they are kind of an important deal. And here is the headline. They have officially adopted the WTR token into their operations. That is not a pilot test. That's actually real integration on chain. And you might ask, well, okay, why is this adoption so important? You see, this is where things kind of get exciting. For the first time, a government-owned utility is using a blockchain-based token like WTR to track, verify, and reward sustainable water management. Now you let that sink in, because public infrastructure plus blockchain plus environmental impact basically equals, in this case, to real world utility at a scale. And why is this significant? For a couple of reasons. Number one, institutional blockchain adoption is finally happening on Italy, and it's happening in practice, not just some theory. This is important. Number two, this shows, in my opinion at least, that Algorand's tech is absolutely reliable and scalable enough for public sector use. Number three, the Gruppo CAP in this case is also using WTR tokens as a financial tool, which is, from my point of view, a very important deal. So let's have a quick conclusion. WTR is a good example of how blockchain is moving beyond DeFi into real life infrastructure. With this move by Gruppo CAP, I think we are seeing the beginning of public sector blockchain adoption. And again, like we also said it at the beginning of the video, this all is happening on Algorand. And for those of you who have been regular viewers, a couple of months ago, if you remember, we also talked about another Algorand partnership, and it was also with a company working on green energy. And here's a question: on what country was that company? You know it, it was actually Italy. So again, these things do have a habit of setting a precedent. I'm going to argue the guys at Gruppo CAP saw the partnership between Enel Group and Algorand, and they basically liked what they saw. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to know that they decided to go with the WTR token partnership based on the Enel Group example. These things usually actually happen like this. So overall, from my point of view, this is definitely positive news for Algorand, and let's hope for some more important and major adoptions. Now, let's go on the live chart and see what is happening in the short term. And if you remember, the last time that we talked about Algo, I believe we were somewhere around these areas, and the idea was that maybe overall we are having a WXY in form of a double zigzag, and here is our first A, B, C down into wave W, followed by a correction up into wave X, and this can be yet another ABC zigzag on the downside into our wave Y. And we said for our wave C, we need to be able to find a complete 5-wave down in order for us to say, you know what, maybe this whole correction is over and now it's time to go up. So what is happening? You see, I believe there's a good chance we are having a correction structure into wave 4. However, at the moment, this is not confirmed yet. Why is that? Let's go on a less busy chart, maybe from crypto.com. Okay, so let's say you are someone that wants to be very optimistic and wants to call this point our final low. You know what? Fair enough. In that scenario, I think your best shot at finding a 5-wave in here is if you say we are having a series of 1-2s, meaning this can be a 1-2 and then big move up into wave 3, 4, 5, which on a higher degree, it's going to be into this wave 3, followed by a correction for 4, another move on the upside into wave 5. If you want to be bullish, okay, this is pretty much the best bullish possibility that you can find at the moment in the short term. However, you see, this scenario, sure, although at the moment can be in play, but it will get invalidated the moment that we see a continuation of this move up in order to take this important slow down here about, let's say, 19 cents area. So what is it that I'm trying to say? I'm trying to tell you, maybe in Algorand you are able to be bullish, but from my point of view, at least, that's not going to be my primary case. In my primary scenario, I'm going to say this is probably going to be the beginning of yet another move on the downside. But if you want to be 100% objective and you want to wait for an important bearish confirmation, you know what? More power to you. Just wait a bit more and see, are we going to take this low or not? If we take it, at that point, finding a 5-wave in this whole move on the upside, starting from here to about this point, is going to be extremely challenging to a degree that is going to be nobody's primary scenario. Okay, and at that point, what's going to happen next? You know it, probably a continuation of the move down in order to take the lowest low down here, about 18.5 cents for the first target. But I'm thinking we can actually go a bit lower than that, and let's go back on Binance's chart. There we go. So what are some important Fibonacci levels? Let's measure it. There we go. Okay, as you can see, the first important level is right in here about the 18.7 cents area. And in the short term, we definitely got a bounce back from it. However, the moments that we take this low, you can count on a continuation of the move down. And maybe in that phase, we are going to reach to all the way down here to about the 78% level, which at the same time is actually around this important. I believe it was gap that was created as a result of this move on the upside being a bit too strong and too fast. So since I believe gaps 95+% of the time are going to get filled, I'm gonna say probably the next target in Algorand in the short term at least is going to be reaching to this important area, which is between 16.7 to about 17.4 cents. At that point, I'm really going to look for some strong moves on the upside to show up, maybe like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 without a lot of overlapping of the waves, to be absolutely optimistic and bullish and call this point our final low with a lot of confidence and say, you know what, maybe we are having from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave in form of an expanding leading diagonal into a wave 1, followed by a correction for wave 2. And what's next if the scenario is happening? You know it, a very strong and sharp move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5. For now, overall, this is my primary case, suggesting we're going to go up in Algorand, but in the short term, the story is just a bit different. And if we get maybe like another 10% move on the downside, I don't really believe that we should be surprised at all. It's not really going to be that much of a big deal. So I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in the Algorand chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.